Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. This is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, Marvel and DC United. We have been discussing before in the previous video the following. We have a login script. This login script will be applied to any user that will access the Marvel domain. Okay, so every Active Directory user will have a login script will be implemented on him as soon as he logs into the Marvel domain. This login script will do a couple of things. First of all, it will add two keyboard languages, English and Arabic, and then it will hide the search toolbar and change some of the Windows performance setting, okay, just to make the Windows faster in response, okay. And it will initiate a program. This program is called idle log off. This program will log off the user if the machine is not working or it is idle for 3,000 seconds, okay. And also it will change, or it will change the local or the time zone to Cairo, okay, because actually we are in Cairo. So all of this we have tested it in the previous video, and then we will begin creating different group policies, okay, and testing them. We have been discussing the default domain policy. We have created a mapping policy. We have created some policies for enabling and disabling USB and DVD-ROM. We have a group policy for mapping department shares. This we will discuss in this video, how we can make department shares, okay. And we have a couple of also group policies to control our classic shell program, how the user will see it. This is the classic shell, okay. So this is a program that transformed the normal Windows 10 startup menu, this one, to be like Windows 7. So we have created a group policy for this program because we need the admin or the advanced users to see certain items in this program and other users not to see this, okay. So we have created a couple of group policies for the classic shell and the mapping policy and advanced and default user policies, these to control DVD and USB, some to enable it and some to disable it. And then we have a command in PowerShell. We have used it to export all of the Active Directory objects. This is technically you are exporting all of the Active Directory through using a command called csvde, okay. This will export all of the Active Directory objects to a CSV file. This file we can use after that. If this is like a backup for the Active Directory, you can restore Active Directory from this file, okay. And then we have finished our first domain controller, and then we begin creating our second Azure virtual machine. This will be the second domain controller, and it will be a file server and DNS and WSOS, Windows Server Update Service. We have been discussing file server. It is basically its function. It is a central location that users can store its files, its important files and documents on it. So this is the main function of the file server. And the WSOS also, it is its function is it acts as a central location. It goes to Microsoft website and downloads all of the operating system updates, and it distributes it to all of the servers and the workstation in the domain. So we have created the second Azure virtual machine, and we have promoted it to be a domain controller, and we installed the file server and the WSOS. And then during the configuration or the creating of the second Azure virtual machine, we have added a second hard disk. We have already a first hard disk that is 150 gigabyte. We have added a second hard disk which is a premium SSD hard disk. It's 1 tera. This hard disk we will have the WSOS updates stored in it, and the department shares will be created on it, okay. And also the user home directory folders will be created on it. So this lab we will discuss how to create department shares and how we create home user directory shares, and I will discuss both of them in a couple of seconds, okay. Then after that we have as I said before, after creating the second Azure virtual machine, we have promoted to be the second domain controller, and during also the configuration or during the creating process of the second Azure virtual machine, we have put the second virtual machine, which will be the second domain controller, in something called availability set zone. Okay, this is an option in the Azure virtual machine. This is technically you put two servers or you put two virtual machines in something called availability set zone. By putting them in this zone, you are telling Microsoft that you need at least one of these virtual machines to be up and running. So by telling this to Microsoft, it will first of all, you need to know that availability set zone should be, or it is only used in one region or in one data center. It cannot be configured on multiple regions or multiple data centers. Okay, so this is only created, or it's available only on only one data center or only one region. Okay, so as I said before, here I am telling Microsoft that by putting my first domain controller or second domain controller or my two virtual machines that are acting as domain controllers in this availability set zone, I am telling Microsoft that I need at least one of them to be up and running. So by telling that to Microsoft, it will take into consideration that if there is any maintenance to its data center or its data center region, it should take into consideration that at least one of these virtual machines acting as domain controller should be up and running. How they will do this? They, for example, they can put one of the virtual machines on one server and the other machine on another server in the same region or the same data center, or they can be added in different mechanisms. So at the end, I am telling Microsoft I need one of them to be only one of them to be always up and running. So Microsoft should take into consideration that their servers should be always up and running, or if they make maintenance, they need to make sure that the two virtual machines are spread in two servers maybe or something. Just this is the thing that availability set zone does. Okay, this is a very important option. Okay, because we need our two domain controllers, at least one of them, to be up and running. So by making this availability zone and adding two virtual machines that acts as domain controllers, this is some of the best practice I consider when working with Microsoft Azure virtual environment. Okay, and then there is we have configured our Azure virtual network configuration or item. Okay, we have something called virtual network item in Azure virtual network item. In this Azure virtual network item, we have configured our two DNS servers, which is my first domain controller and my second domain controller. So technically, if any machine or any virtual machine is created under this virtual network, it will take the DNS server's IP automatically from the Azure virtual network configuration. Okay, we have done this before, and then we have configured this some firewall rules on the second virtual machine to allow RDP protocol, so we can be able to connect using the remote this program. Again, okay, so we can use this program by allowing the RDP protocol. I can use this program to access my virtual machine, which is in US East region. Okay, and then we have two IPs. One is public IP address to this virtual machine, and it is dynamic. It is changed every time you power on and power off the virtual machine, and there is a private IP address which is static, and this will be stable and it will not be changed. Okay, and we need this also in our domain. Okay, we have done all of this configuration to the first virtual machine which acts as first domain controller, and then at the end we have configured file server quota and file screening to block audio and video. File server quota, we actually, when we begin creating department shares, we should we should limit users to how much data they will put in this department shares. So this is done through configuring file server quota, and then We also need to have some rules that no audio or video should be put or should be added to this department shares, just to decrease or to put only important files, okay, not to put data and audio. Okay, so after that, in this video we'll begin considering or begin working with creating department shares and creating home user directory shares. Okay, user home folder directory. Okay, basically department shares, this is an option that as I said before, it's a part on my domain controller, the second domain controller. I will have a part of my hard disk of this second domain controller, and I will create some folders on it, and I will share it, and I will allow users to put their important documents on these shares. Okay, these shares should be controlled, okay, because I need some users to access, or some departments to access certain department shares, and others to access another department share. So basically we will do all of this in this lab, and also we will work with user home directory folder creation. For every user in our Active Directory, he will have a special space on my hard disk on the second domain controller as well, okay, so he can put his data. So every user, we have two shares he can use. He can use his department share. If, for example, if I'm in the IT department, I have my IT department share, and I have my the Active Directory home user folder share. Okay, so I can put my personal data on my user home folder, okay, user home folder, okay, or share, and I can put my department or my documentation of my IT department on the department share of the IT. So in this lab we will begin, or I'll show you the process of creating department shares and home user folder shares. Okay, this will be done, both will be done on using PowerShell scripts. So here, this is the diagram. I will begin discussing it just a minute. So let's continue. Here I will show you the process of creating the department shares. Okay, first of all, we will have a folder. We will name it department share, and in it we will have 4 folders: global share, HR share, IT share, HOD share. So HOD folder. Okay, so HOD folder, this is called head of departments. Okay, will be for the department heads. This is a folder, and this is the IT folder. It will be for the IT personnel. This is HR, it's human resources. This folder will be for the HR personnel, and the global share, this is a folder, will be for all departments. Okay, so if there is anything important, all of the other departments need to see it, so they can put it in this folder. Okay, so we have the main folder, and these are subfolders in them. So first we'll create this folder and the subfolders using a script, and then after that we will share these 4 folders. Okay, and then using a script which will be called Smb Share Permissions script. This script will add, this script will add to each folder which Active Directory group is allowed to access it. For example, and this is the first script, it's called Smb Share Permissions. So this script, after sharing these folders, it will allow every or certain Active Directory groups to access certain folders. For example, here we can see that this global share folder, for example, we will give the Marvel IT Active Directory group full control on it. Actually, all folders will give the IT full control on it, and then we will give a group called Marvel All Users. This is a group that contains all of my Active Directory users. Okay, so they will give them on this folder modify option. So by these two permissions, or by these two permissions here, I am allowing the IT group to have full control on this folder, and all of my Marvel domain users to have modify on it. So all of the users on the Active Directory Marvel can access this folder. Okay, the green one is for the Smb Share Permissions. So here we'll give the Marvel IT full control and give Marvel or users change. Okay, so this is the first permission. Okay, let's do something here. Let's consider that this main folder, it is a vault. Okay, it is it's like a safe. Okay, this is a main safe. Okay, and we have small safes in this main safe. Okay, and here by having Smb permissions and Ntfs permissions, we have two keys for every safe. So here, for example, the global share, we will give the IT, or the only one that could access this safe is the IT and the Marvel or users group. First of all, this is a key and this a key, so these two keys, okay, are used to access this safe, and these two keys are given to the Marvel IT group and the Marvel or users group. Okay, and this first key, it will be the Smb share permissions, and the second will be the Ntfs share permissions. Okay, so these two keys will be on this, or for this safe. Okay, and there is a little difference between the permissions of the Ntfs and Smb. For example, change, it is reflected in the Ntfs to be modified, or it is reflected to be modified. So change is equivalent to modify in the Ntfs share permissions. Okay, so this is the first script. It will give access to the Marvel IT group, full control on this safe or this folder, and the Marvel or users will have change on this folder. And by default, there is a group called everyone on the folder. Okay, we need to remove it because this is the best practice. Okay, so we need only to have two groups to access this safe. One, we will give it full control, the IT, and the other one will be Marvel or users. It will have a change. Okay, so this will be on the first folder. Using the first script, it will give the Marvel IT full control and the Marvel or user change, and it will remove everyone group from the share permissions. Okay, and then we'll go to the IT, we'll go to the HR. After that, the HR, we will give the Smb share permissions, the Marvel IT to have full control on the HR folder or share, and we will give the Marvel HR personnel or the Marvel HR group, Active Directory group, it will give it, or will give it a change. So by these two permissions, we are only limited certain users to access this folder, which are the Marvel HR, which is the HR personnel. In this group we have the HR personnel in it, and the Marvel IT. Okay, so this is the second one, and this, as for the IT, we will have only IT personnel to access this folder, and it is full control. And the last one, it's for the department heads. We will give the Marvel IT group full access to this folder, and the Marvel HOD, this is a group that contains the department heads, it will be given change. So the HOD folder or share, only the Marvel HOD personnel will be able to access it, or only the Marvel HOD group will be able to access it, and the IT. As for the IT, only the IT Marvel IT group will be able to access this folder, and as for the HR, only the HR Active Directory group will be able to access this folder and the IT. And as for the global share, all of the other departments can be able to access this folder, and the IT will have full control, and the other groups will have change. So this is all using this Smb share permissions script. So in steps, we will have a script that will create the main folder and the subfolders, and then we will share them, okay, and then we will use our Smb share permissions to put the permissions on each folder. This is the green one. Okay, and then we will use another script, which is the Ntfs permissions. This is the other one. Okay, it will give also permissions on the folders, the one in blue. Okay, as I said before, these two permissions are identical. Okay, so we will have the same here. For example, we have Marvel IT will have access, or will have Ntfs permission for control on the department heads, and the Marvel Active Directory group will have modify on the HOD share. And the same, we can see that there is identical permissions between, or the Ntfs permissions and the Smb share permissions are identical in their permissions effect, okay, or the effect of their permissions. They have the same permissions, okay, except there is, as I said before, a little change or a little differences. Change in SMB share permissions means modify in Ntfs share permissions. While we are having two permissions on one folder, it's something like more security when you have a safe and you have two keys to open this safe, okay. And so here we have four folders. They are shared. They have SMB share permissions and Ntfs share permissions using scripts. And when you use the SMB share permissions, you need to be sure that you remove every one group from the share permissions, okay. This is the only note I need to have or concentrate on it. So here we have done this. We have created the department share folder and the subfolders, and we have shared them, and we have given them SMB share permissions and Ntfs share permissions using scripts. So this is the first thing to do, and then we will need to create the home user directory share or home user directory folder. This is a folder that will contain all of the user's home directory folders. It's called users, and we have $sign just to make it hidden, okay, so no one can see the other user home user folder, okay, or so not any user can see the other user's home folder, okay. So here we will create the first or the main folder, and then we will create subfolders. Every subfolder will be with the username of the user. For example, I have an Active Directory user. My first name is Karim and the last name is Rauf, and I have a username krauf1, so my folder home user folder will be created and named as krauf1, and then this is the username for computer of Iron Man, Vision, and then Widow, and then Ultron. So all of the home user folders will be named according to the username of the Active Directory. This is also done using permission, okay. And we will not only so this script, it will create, so we will only create this one manually. We will create the main folder and all of the subfolders, okay, for the users, okay, or the home users folder will be created automatically, and the permissions will be given on this folders, and they will be given a letter, or it will be mapped to the user as a drive letter L, okay. All of this will be done using a script, okay. So here the script, we will only need to create the main folder, and then all the subfolders will be created automatically, and every user will be given permission to have full control on his subfolder, and he will have his subfolder mapped to his Windows operating system as drive L, okay. So we'll have Kera, Vision, Widow, Ultra. I will show you all how this will appear on the practical side, but just to make sure, here I have showed you both the steps of creating the department shares and the home user folders. Here we can see after let me show you here a little thing. Here after using this script, okay, as I said before, we will have a script, okay, that will create these subfolders or the user's home folder directories, and we will have permissions, okay, for each one of them. Each user will have full control on his subfolder. For example, Kira will have full control on his folder, Vision will have full control on his folder, Widow will have full control on her folder, Ultron will have full control on his folder. After using this script, if you go to the Active Directory setting, for example for Iron Man, okay, and go to the Profile tab, you can see that you will have a home folder created. It will be mapped as drive L. I will show you all how this also will appear, and this home folder will be named Iron Man, because this is the folder or the home folder for Iron Man, okay. And this is a small screen for Iron Man. This is an image, a small information. This Iron Man was a superhero in 2008 based on the character of Marvel, produced by Marvel Studios and Paramount. It is directed by what so and so. If you need to know more, this is a small reference. In the film, following his escape from captivity, okay, world famous industrial and master engineer Tony Stark builds a mechanized suit of armor, becomes the superhero Iron Man. This is the first Iron Man movie. it had been aired 2008. Okay, so this is how the home user home folder directory for the user. It will appear here in the Active Directory user. Let me see, Active Directory user properties. It will appear in the profile tab. It will be given L, and it will be created like this. Okay, after using the script. Okay, so I will show you how this will appear for the user. Here, for example, if we have the user widow, when it logs into with her Active Directory user, she should see this is the department shares. Widow is a member of the Marvel HR group, which is HR or human resources. So Marvel is a human resource personnel. So when she logs into her machine, she should see the HR share appearing on her PC mapped as an M drive. I will show you all how this also will be done. This will be done using a group policy, and the global share will also appear on her PC as an O. Okay, an M and O, and then this is the home user or home folder user home folder will appear like this by her name, and all of these are given certain spaces using the file server quota. Okay, so this what will appear for the user of the HR. For example, if this is not an HR, I will show you another example. If, for example, an IT, this will differ, but anyway, we will map these drivers, or the department shares will be mapped according to the group policy. Here is the group policy. We have already created a group policy and name it mapping policy. The previous video, here we can see that every share, for example, this is the share of the HR, it will be giving an M drive. It will map as an M drive. I will show you all this. And the IT also will be mapped as M. The HOD will be mapped as N, and the global share will be mapped as O. Okay, so this is the whole process. Okay, that appear for the after creating or using the department share or creating the department shares are the home user folders. I can show you all, for example, if widow is not logged in, and for example if we have another user from the IT department, which will be Altron, for example, not Altron, Vision. Here we can see that Vision is a member of the IT. So here we can see that he will have the share of the IT, and it will be its IT, and it will mapped as M. Remember, widow will have HR, and it will be M also, but it is named differently. So this share will be named IT, and the other one will be named HR, and they are all mapped as an M drive. And you also have access to the global share department. It names and O, and this is his home user folder. It will be mapped as Vision, and it will be an L. Okay, so this will be L, and this will be M and O. Okay, so this is the same process. Okay, and let me show you all here. For example, also this is the same for this is for Captain Marvel. Okay, the same process. So basically you will do all of this in the lab. So this is the final result. Every user will log in, he will have his department share and his home user folder. So we see now we have this done theoretically. We will see how this will be done in a practical way. So let's begin our video. So now we will have both domain controllers up and running, or power them on, and then begin the process of creating the department shares and the home user or user home folder. And I said before, the public IP is dynamic, so every time you power on and power off the virtual machine, the dynamic or the IP, public IP, is changed because it is assigned dynamically. So here this is the welcome screen. So now I think we have our first domain controller or virtual machine acting as the first domain controller is up and running, and then we'll begin powering on the second virtual machine, which is acting as the second domain controller. We are taking a copy of the public IP address and we will put it in the remote desktop computer field, and then we will connect using our Active Directory domain user. We will connect. This is my Active Directory user account. Here I am acting as a domain admin and enterprise admin and schema admin and administrator, of course. All of this, I am a member of all of these groups, and I am acting as all of these roles. Okay. So here I think I will copy the script folder, okay, because here we will create our department shares, department folders, home user folders. All of this will be done using PowerShell scripts. So here just checking that I have advanced. Remember in the previous video I have been or I have created a group policy that will be applied to the Marvel advanced users. This group policy should open the USB and DVD for them, so the only this group, the advanced users, will apply to them the group policy that will open USB and DVD. And we have another group which is called Marvel default users. This will apply to them another group policy which is called default group policy. This will close the USB and DVD. I'm just checking or making sure that there is users in these groups, so the group policy will apply to them. So yeah, I'm just selecting some users. Here I'm just giving the department heads, okay, this they will have the option, or they will have the DVD and USB opened for them. So the Marvel advanced users are a member of the Marvel HOD group, so they will have, the Marvel HOD will have USB and DVD opened for them. So I'm just selecting a couple of users, or I'm selecting the list of the non-department heads, okay. So the disabled USB and DVD policy will be applied to them, okay, by using this group Marvel default users. And this group, it is linked to the group policy default users, okay. And here just I have mistaken, because I have put some users in the Marvel default users group, and they are in the same time, some of them are in the advanced group, Marvel advanced group as well. So I will rectify, or I correct this issue in a moment, because I have, for example, Thanos, he is in the Marvel Advanced users and in the default users in the same time, so this will make conflict with the group policies. Anyway, here you can see that Thanos is and Steve Rogers and Proxima, okay, all of them are in the department heads, and Tony Stark and Vision, so we need to get them out of the Marvel default users, because here they will make a conflict, because if this situation is still, or if we are leaving everything as is now, they will have two group policies apply to them, and there is conflict between them. One will open and one will close, okay? So here we are removing Thanos and Steve Rogers from the Marvel default users, because he is already a member of Marvel Advanced users. Our Marvel Advanced users, this is the group that will have USB and DVD open for them, and Marvel default users, this is the group that will have USB and DVD closed for them or disabled. So now here we will begin applying or begin working with our first script. This script will create, we will have a folder named department shares, we will create it, and then this script will create the subfolders I have shown you in the graph. It will create 4 folders under department shares folder: IT, HOD, global share, and HR. Okay, so this is the department shares. It is blank, or it is doesn't contain any subfolders. Okay, and in the script we will edit something here saying that it needs to create the subfolders in this destination. So I am just telling him to add the subfolders in this folder, okay, or this main folder, okay. And then I will apply the, here I think there is a problem, because it's not in the F, it is here basically the script will go and create the subfolders based on the data in a text file, and this text file, it is not in F department shares, it is in F scripts, okay. So this is why there is an error, okay. So basically the script have 2 lines. The first line is where it will create the subfolders, and the second line is where it will or what is the names of the subfolders. So this will be given to him according to a text file, okay. So this is the first line. I'm telling him to get the subfolders name from a text file called folders, and to create the other line is to create the subfolders in the department shares main folder, okay. This is basically the script. We have succeeded now. So if we go to the department shares, we can see that we have 4 folders created. So this is the first script, is to create the 4 subfolders, and then we will use our Smb Share Permissions. This Smb Share script, it will give the folders Smb Share Permissions, and it will share them in the same time, okay. So it will share the folders and give them Smb Share Permissions, okay. So these are a couple of lines, okay, or these are the scripts. Here I have some errors. Why? Because I have been using this script in another lab, so the data is not correct. Here basically what I'm telling him, or the error was because I'm telling him to create the shares, to create the share and give it permissions, okay. This is not correct. This is the correct group. This group will have share permission, or will have permission on the HOD folder, but it's not in the correct domain. The domain is not called Marvel, it's called NARC, okay. So here there is a problem, because I am telling him to have a certain group, to have certain permissions on a domain that it is not practically existing, okay. My domain, it's not called Marvel, it is called NARC. So this is the error. Why was the error? So I will change from Marvel to NARC. As I said before, why I have changed the domain name from Marvel to NARC, because there was already a domain called Marvel on the Azure cloud, or the Azure virtual environment, so it didn't give me give me the ability to create a domain called Marvel, because it was already existing. Okay, so I have changed it, or changed the domain from Marvel to Narc, but I'm still using the Marvel characters and figures, okay, and groups and heroes and villains, so and so. So now I'm just changing the group, or changing the domain from Marvel to Narc. This was the problem, but I need to remove the folders again, the 4 folders that I have already created, the department shares, the 4 folders in the department shares. I need to delete them and then create them again, and then use the Smb Share Permissions to have permissions set on them and to share them as well. So this didn't succeed. What we will do, we will go to the department shares folder and delete all of the subfolders, and then we will use our script that will create the 4 subfolders again, and then we will again try to use the Smb Share script to share the folders and give permissions on them. So anyway, here we can see that after using the script, it's already shared, but we can see that the share permissions are not correct. We have only Marvel IT full control. There is missing groups because there is a problem with the script. So what we need to do, that we will delete the subfolders and we'll create them again, and then we will reuse the same Smb Share script, or we will re-implement it again. Okay. So here I am just already deleted the 4 subfolders. Okay, and then I will use my script again to create them. Okay, and then I will begin using my Smb Share Permissions script. And then I will begin implementing it. This time it will be implemented successfully. You can see that we have on every folder we will have 2 permissions, one for the IT and one for the relevant or equivalent department. So the IT will have full control on the IT folder, the HR folder or share, the IT will have full control, and the HR group will have change permission. So anyway, we will check this right now. If you go to the department shares and the global share, we should see 2 groups. One will have full control and the other will have, here it is already shared, we can see this, and then we will go to the permission. We can see that the Marvel IT will have full control, and the global share group, this is a group that contain all of my Active Directory users, will have change permission. The HOD, we should see two groups. One will be the IT will have full control, and the Marvel HOD group will have change. This is correct. And if we go further, the HR will have full control on the will have change on the folder, and the IT will have full control. So by this we have created successfully the shares. We have shared the folders and created the permissions successfully. So now we will go and create our Ntfs permissions. This is an Ntfs permissions. So now here also I am telling him that the folder that contains the subfolders that I have, or I need to have permissions Ntfs set on them, it is in F department shares, and it also get the names of the subfolders from text file. Anyway, just here we will have already implemented the permissions. If we go now and check, we can see that we will have the correct permissions. We can see that every folder will have its exact or its correct permissions as the diagram. For example, this is the global share. We can see that Marvel IT will have full control, global share group will have modify. If you go to HOD, we will have the IT will have full control and the Marvel group will have modify. This is equivalent to change in the Smb share permissions. So we have successfully created the Smb shares, the Ntfs shares, and we have shared the folders. So we have created all of them. We need now to work with the user home folder script. This will create the home folder, the user home folders. So here it is. All of this I have showed you all in the diagram. So we will begin. First of all, we need to go to the F folder. Here you can see that this folder we should share it before using the script. We should share this folder, okay, so it will not be shared automatically like we have done in the Smb share, and we will put $$ to be hidden, and then we will remove everyone from this folder, and we will give two groups, domain users. This group contains all of the Active Directory users, okay, so we will add them to this folder and we give them full control, and we will add Marvel all users. This is also another group that contains all of my Active Directory users, and we will give them also full control. So this should be done before working with the user home folder script, and it should be full control, not less, and we will give the IT the full control. This is the Smb share permissions, okay, and we will go and give them the same permissions or the equivalent permissions for the Ntfs. So we will also add domain users, Marvel all users, and Marvel IT. All of them will have full control on this folder. So now we have created our users share. Now we will begin implementing our home user, or we will begin implementing our user home folder script. This will create user home folders and will give every user a permission on his home folder, and it will map this home folder to a mapped drive on his computer, and I have showed you all this through the diagram. So now we have already created the home folders and mapped them, okay. We need now to go to the mapping group policy and map the department shares. So when the users logged in, it should appear for him his home user folder share mapped and his department share also mapped. So this, we have done the part of the home user or the user home folder. We need to map the department shares through the group policy. So the user's home folder will be mapped automatically. This we don't need to do anything. The script have done this for us. And as for the department shares, we need to go to the group policy of mapping and begin configuring it to map every department with its respective share, okay. So here we'll go now to the here. If you check, for example, I said before, if you check the profile, we can see that it's already created the home the user home folder, and it's mapped as an L. But as for me, I didn't it didn't succeed because I have created my user after I have already created the other Active Directory users, okay. So I will do this manually. The script didn't contain my name, so it didn't create my user home folder. so I will do this manually. So this is also a good way to show you all how you can create a home folder manually. You will tell him home folder and select the drive letter that you need it to be mapped to, and you will show him the share that you need to map, or the share of the user home folder that you need to map. The share of the user home folder that you need to map, yes, correct. This is Kira off. I have already this folder already created in the users folder, and we'll show you all this when we log in with a user account. We will see how this will appear, and I have showed you all in the beginning of the video how this will appear for the user through the screenshots. So here now I have already, after finishing all of the department shares and the user home folder, I will create a third virtual or third Azure virtual machine, but this time it will be a workstation and it will have Windows 10 version 1809. Okay, so this will be our test workstation. We will have a workstation and we will join it to the domain, and then we will see how the department shares and the home user or the user home folders will appear. So we will go to the Azure control panel. We can consider it like this, and we will create a third virtual machine. We will create it in the same resource group, Marvel domain. This is our first resource group, and the virtual machine name, we will give it a name from the computers we have already created in the Active Directory. This will be in the data center US East, in the region of US East, and this is the name of the PC. It's already created as an object in the Active Directory, and it will contain Windows 10 version 1809, and I need just to clarify that you need to take care of the specs of the virtual machine, because I have been working with low specs, so this have done a lot of problems for me. You need to accept the recommendations, okay, for the virtual machine given to you by Microsoft, but you need to take care of the cost. Anyway, I have created a virtual machine with 1 GB of RAM and 1 virtual CPU, and this virtual machine will have Windows 10 installed on it. This will cost me $7 per hour. So this is a lot of cost. Sorry, this is a cost per month. Actually, this is $7 per month. Okay, so it's not per hour, but this is the least cost of them, because here the cost, it is displayed in months, but when you create the virtual machine it will give you the cost in hour. Okay, so this cost, it is $7 in the months. Okay, so it's a very low cost. Anyway, and this is the administrator account, or the local administrator account will be renamed to Keraof, and this is the password. And then we will create a firewall rule on this virtual machine to allow RDP protocol to allow us to connect to this machine using the remote desktop connection. And then we will leave everything for the default, and as for the network, it will be in our first subnet 192.168.1.0, and it will be on our virtual network MSR VNet 01. It will take the DNS IP, or the servers, the IP of the DNS servers. It will be taken from the virtual network. This is we don't need, I think you don't need to see this. This is the subnet configuration for the Azure, or the Azure subnet configuration. So all of these are options. We can discover them later, but we will create a virtual machine with the default selections or default options, and then at the end it will give you a review about all of the selections you have done when, or the order of the selections you have selected for this virtual machine, and the cost for running this virtual machine per hour. It will cost you less than 1 cent per hour. And then create. So now I have created our third virtual machine. We should join it to the domain, but I think this will be in the upcoming video. Anyway, we need to test the first of all, we need, as I said before, to map the department shares, okay, to every user according to his department. It will be shared. Every department will have its department share mapped to her and with the correct letter. Okay, so here at the mapping we can see here that every department, this also I showed you before in the diagram. Here we can see that this is the share. We can just discuss something here, just a minute. Okay, here we can see that this is the share, the location of the share, this is the name of the share, and this is the letter of the share, and this is two options to show the share. Sometimes you need to create a share and it is hidden, but anyway this is shown, and this is the drive letter of the drive letter, or this is the mapped drive letter for this share. Okay, and then we have in this command tab, we will tell him to map this we'll map this drive for this share to the group of the HR. Okay, we will for the group to the HR, the Active Directory HR group. Okay, and we'll do this for every one of the maps items. We'll see that in a moment. So here we'll tell him targeting, and then we will choose that this map or this map or this share folder for this department share will appear for the Marvel HOD, the Marvel HR Active Directory group. And then we'll begin doing this for all of the rest of the shares. So here we will have this also share will appear for the Marvel IT group. So this is simply very simple one. So we'll tell him targeting, and we need to make sure that we have these two options checked: apply once and do not reply, and item level targeting. Okay, so this, if it's not checked, it will not open targeting for us. We need to, when we make the mapping setting, we need to have the setting before. In the general I have showed you all how this is done, and we need these two options to be selected, and in the targeting we need to target or to select or to point to him the Active Directory group that this map will appear for it. Okay, so now we have all of the department shares mapping options or mapping setting is done. Okay, we need to test it. Okay, so after that I will do something. I will make a group policy enforce option. Okay, so I will refresh the group policy and implement it again, or re-implement the group policy, and see if I can. Here I am logging into this server as an IT, so I will have 3 shares will appear for me. The IT department share should be mapped as M, and the global share, this is a share that will appear for all departments, it should appear for me as an O, and as for my user home folder, it should appear for me as an L with my name. So we will tell him gp update/force. This will reapply the group policies, but there is a problem. that the mapping group policy is not applied to the admin's organizational unit. So it's only applied for the terminals, for the servers, okay, for the terminals and only for the terminals, okay, and robots. It's not applied to the server's organization unit or for the admin's organization unit. So this is why the department shares was not mapped or didn't appear for me. Here we are connecting to, we have powered on our third virtual machine, which will act as a workstation that contains Windows 10. We have already powered it on, and then we will have a remote connection to it. So here I will connect to it. Here I am using the local or the local administrator, which is renamed to care of, because we need to join this workstation to the domain. I think there is an option in the Azure virtual machine configuration. There is an option to join it automatically to the domain, but I think this I will wait when I create the DC comics domain. I think I have done it in the DC comics domain. Anyway, we should join this virtual machine to the domain and test our department shares and home or user home folders. Here we can see that even though I have already reinforce or reapply the group policy, the mapping didn't appear for me. But this because I have not applied the mapping group policy to my didn't apply it to the admin's organizational unit. Okay, so this was the problem. So here I will show you all this. The mapping here, it's only applied to the terminals, okay, and for the servers organizational unit. But as for the admins, it's not applied, and it's not applied. It's only applied to the terminals and robots only. So it didn't apply for the servers and for the admins. So here I will apply the mapping group policy to all of the organizational units. I don't care. So here I will not apply it only to terminals, okay, I will apply it to all of the organizational unit by putting it under narc local. Here I am telling the group policy console to apply this policy to all of the underlying or the sub organization units from MSRT until the end. So now when if we reapply the group policy, the mappings will appear for me. And as for the user home folder, we need to restart the server and log in again so it appears for me. Anyway, here we can see that there is some setting or the privacy setting. We need to close them all, okay, because this is a production environment, so we don't need the privacy setting to appear for anyone. This also is a best practice to control the privacy setting for the Windows 10 and close them. So here we can see that we have our third virtual machine. It's already going to the internet, and if we check the DNS server IP given to this virtual machine, it will be given our first and second domain controller DNS. Our second and first domain controllers are acting as domain controllers and acting as DNS servers as well. So these two IPs of our two domain controllers will be given to this virtual machine as DNS IP servers, and they have taken this DNS IP servers from the Azure virtual network configuration. It is pushed to them from the Azure virtual network configuration. Here we will just make this PC appear on the desktop and do some setting. Anyway, here we will reapply the group policy. So you can see here I have already made this PC and network and control panel appeared on the desktop, and then here I will try to join this PC to the domain, and it will work, because if you go to the control panel and see the network setting and see the DNS field, you can see that it is given already the DNS servers, okay, automatically. It is distributed from the Azure network configuration. I didn't put it manually, it was distributed automatically. So you can see it's one DNS, it's 192.168.1.4 and 0.1.5, and then we will tell him that we need to join the narc.local. As I said before, I have changed the domain from marvel.local to narc.local because there was a problem. This marvel.local was already created on the Azure virtual network. So here I am giving him the user that he will use to join this PC or workstation to the domain. Okay, it has already successfully joined the domain. So the upcoming video I will show you all how this how our setting will be applied, or how we can see the department shares and the user home folder. But now if we go to the second domain controller after refreshing the group policy, we can see that the department shares will appear. But as for the user home folder, we need to re-log in again to the server, so we can see that the IT and the global share. But we need our home folder to appear, or user home folder to appear. We need to restart and log in back again. So I think here I am doing a little couple of things here. I'm taking a screenshot or something, but this will not be the case. Okay, here I'm taking screenshots, so this is not, anyway, I don't need it. So here, just a minute. So here I am going to the third virtual machine, okay, and now I will log in to this virtual machine by Ironman or Ironman domain Active Directory or Active Directory user, so we can see that how the department shares will appear if the login scripts is applied, the backgrounds are applied. This is for the vision, okay, so you can see that the backgrounds will be applied, the login scripts will be applied, the department shares will appear, the home user or home folder will appear. All of this we need to see it. First of all, we can see after logging into this virtual machine, we can see that the welcome screen or the welcome message appeared already. So this means that the group policy is applied. This is Marvel Studio, and then this is Vision. So I think we need to pass it real quickly. Okay. So here we can see, if we go to the terminals organizational unit and check the PC that we have already joined it to the domain, we can see that the setting for this PC changed. Here is the name of the DNS name, it is already done, and the workstation is operating system appeared. All of this were blank before joining this workstation to the domain. So this means that the workstation is successfully joining the domain. So now we will go with the Vision user, the one that I have showed you all in the beginning of the video. And okay. I think we can pause it here a little bit quickly. Okay. So now I can see here that the group policy, it is applied. We can see the two keyboard layouts, this PC, and it is changed to PC Marvel 01. All of that we have, it is applied already. The time zone, it is applied. The keyboard layouts are added. So everything is applied. So here we can successfully say that we have already created our narc domain, which is Marvel domain, with all of the users, groups, computers, group policies, department shares, user home folder. All of this is done. So in the upcoming videos we'll begin working with the DC Comics domain, but after doing a couple of things before, we will create a gateway for the Marvel domain. Anyway, this it's not now, we will not discuss this now. So anyway, I hope this video was informative for you all, and I would like you all, I would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.